I don't want to linger too long on this topic because it's been covered elsewhere, but sometimes you need to warp your image a little bit. Even if you got the colors right, it's just kind of too flat and feels out of place. So first I want to add those wrinkles that I was talking about here. And I think a great tool for this is the often overlooked Puppet Warp. So we go here into Edit, and then we go down to Puppet Warp, and we get this cool triangulated mesh. And I can actually set it to more points if I want to, just add a little more resolution. And I'm going to add pins. And in this case, it's a pretty literal use because I'm kind of pinning the edges where the person may have pinned this up. And then I'm going to add pins to start pulling. So I'm going to add and drag and then pull down and then pull up. And I'm kind of following the folds that are in the image itself. I think this is one of the coolest features of Photoshop. You might have seen I made a free video on it, but this is one of those tools that just, well, it works unlike any other modifier I've ever seen. It's almost like you're working with a 3D object. Now I'm not pulling very far, but you can see I'm kind of dragging various parts up and various parts down. And then when I confirm that, the result I get just has a little bit of a wave to it. And you can do dramatic changes with this if you want. And I think the more you push it, the more the seams start to show. So, be subtle. But the Puppet Warp can be a great way to add a little bit of life to match the contours of your image. Another common one that I experience all the time is if something needs to be on a curved surface. There's sort of an order of operations to this. So if I knew I wanted it to be curved and also in perspective, the way I would do it is actually to use the Warp tool, which is in Free Transform. So I would go to Warp, and then there are these presets that are much easier than moving the points around yourself. So I would go to Arch, and you can grab the little square here or change the numeric value in Bend. And I'm going for the general bend of the top of this upholstery. So I'm kind of envisioning it as if I were looking straight at it, because I know I'm going to do this as a two-step process. So I say, okay, confirm that, and then I would do the normal perspective. So I would kind of warp it into place here. And what that allows me to do is to have it both in perspective and also to have that curvature to it. Now in this case, you can see I curved it way too much. I was trying to exaggerate it for the sake of the video, but I went too far. It is hard to get both of these simultaneously. In a single warping action, you can either get perspective or you can get curvature, but generally not both. But that's a good one to be aware of. Really, the takeaway is that you could spend, a month just mastering the Warp tool. It's within Free Transform. You go to Warp and you get this lattice. Being able to either manually push these points around or to use these presets becomes one of those things that makes a photo you wouldn't think would work. All of a sudden it matches your image perfectly. So I'll leave it at that, but know that warping and puppet warping can be great ways to just smooth it in there.